In a high-tech city, a blonde-haired, blue-eyed young man is walking in the rain when suddenly a small boy passes by and an image flashes before him. The world around him seems to freeze as a couple is playing happily together in the rain, looking deeply in love. The blonde young man boards a train and stares into the distance when suddenly the perspective shifts to a man holding a capsule that transforms into a flaming sword. The man deliberately attacks the people around him. Unfortunately, a nearby girl is grabbed by the hair and the man brings the flame close to her face, terrifying her. He asks her about the existence of the divine gate and begins to narrate. In ancient times, when 3 worlds merged into one, this granted humans 6 abilities. Those who received these abilities would be invited by the divine gate to enter a place where all wishes could come true. This man possesses the power of fire, and after finishing his story, he arrogantly brings the flame closer to the girl. Despite the surrounding people trying to stop him, they are pushed back by his flames as he claims he can change this world. Suddenly, the blonde young man arrives, revealing that he too has been granted the ability to control water. He immediately attacks, slashing the man's side and defeating him on the spot. The train doors open and a couple enters consisting of a red-haired boy and a blue-haired girl equipped with many magical weapons. The couple reveals they are from the World Council, and the device on the blue-haired girl immediately activates. It reconstructs the area around them, transporting the fallen man along with the blonde and the couple off the train. When the blue-haired girl checks on the attacker, he is already dead. The red-haired boy warns the blonde who is about to leave that he has violated the driver usage laws. But surprisingly, the blonde does not possess a driver. The blue-haired girl asks the red-haired boy to focus on the dying man on the ground and calls for an ambulance. Meanwhile, the blonde has already left through a teleportation gate and stands in the gray rain. He recalls the scene of flames engulfing a house where his beloved family members lay covered in blood with no signs of life, while young Ayato could only stand helplessly in the distance. Returning to the present, the sky is filled with falling snow and people are passing by when suddenly a red-eyed boy appears in the crowd. The blonde seems to know the boy and wonders why he keeps following him. The divine gate appears before him, and it seems the boy is the invitation from the gate. But before the blonde can touch it, both the gate and the boy disappear. At a headquarters filled with advanced technology, a mechanical voice announces the incident of the fire ability user losing control on the train, causing many casualties. Thanks to the control of the couple who are students of the World Council, the situation was managed. As the couple takes the elevator underground, the red-haired boy is still curious about the blonde's identity, and the girl guesses he might be a vigilante. Upon arriving, both start running enthusiastically. The red-haired boy is still doubtful about the blonde not having a driver, but the blue-haired girl brushes it aside, and they continue running until a large grass field appears before them, passing through many information-scanning gates. The blue-haired girl wishes she could touch the divine gate even just once when suddenly a purple rabbit named Metabon appears floating in the air. It is the pet of the two and also their little assistant. Bon plays the security camera footage from the train showing the blonde using his abilities to injure the troublemaker. Through the red-haired boy's words, we learn his name is Akane. Akane criticizes her for believing in the divine gate as he considers it just a fairy tale. On another side in the meeting room, someone reports that the train attacker was a demon who came to the human world to sign a work contract 2 years ago. They discuss the appropriate punishment for him. The blonde-haired leader, who appears to be the chairman, assigns a task to Triss, who is operating a technology screen. He asks her to think of a punishment for the troublemaker, and the chairman also asks about the blonde who left, expressing great interest in him. Other members wonder if the chairman wants the blonde to join the academy. Meanwhile, at a high school, the blonde is sitting alone eating noodles. His habit of putting ice in his noodles makes other students despise him greatly. They gossip that he is the murderer who killed his parents. The blonde eating does not pay attention to these words as he sinks into his own tragic memories of when he was young and suffered the misery of becoming an orphan. He only wished for rain at that time to wash away the flames in his subconscious and soothe the grief gnawing at his body. At the World Council Academy, the couple is heading to the counselor's office. Akane wonders why the counselor called them, and the girl reveals they are planning to recruit the young man who controls water they met this morning. The counselor assigns them the task of persuading him. His name is Ayato, and she reveals he was continuously condemned by the media 4 years ago on suspicion of killing his parents. On another side, when Ayato returns home, he finds the blue-haired girl from the association there. Her intention is clear as she wants to recruit him to the academy. After failing to persuade him, she smiles and says she feels she can help him. This surprises Ayato. At Chairman Arthur's office, he gives Ayato a driver and reveals that without a driver, he cannot protect himself from powers from other worlds that covet his strength. Ayato refuses, and before leaving, the chairman tells him he will reveal some truth later. When Ayato takes the elevator down, he meets Akane and the blue-haired girl. He asks why they are paying attention to him, and Akane quickly says it is arranged by the academy, leaving the blue-haired girl speechless. Ayato says having abilities does not matter and walks away. But the blue-haired girl gets straight to the point, asking if he has seen the divine gate. He says whether he has seen it or not does not matter. Akane nearby asks about the rumor of killing his parents, and Ayato with a murderous expression confirms he was the one who caused it. This stuns the couple and he leaves. In the gray rain, the red-eyed boy suddenly appears and reveals that Ayato cannot eat hot food and his parents never cooked hot food for him. The boy says he witnessed everything. Ayato falls into memories of that year at his house where he had a younger brother who was always favored by their parents while he had to live alone in a shabby house in the yard, eating dry bread and water daily. One rainy day, a passing dog ate his food and he sat down looking at what remained with tears falling. Suddenly, his younger brother appeared, looking at him with contempt. The brother had seen through his hatred and desire to kill their parents, mocked him and left. After recalling this, tears also fall from Ayato's eyes. On another side, Chairman Arthur is sitting in his room deep in thought. In his mind, Arthur approaches the divine gate and steps into the world beyond it, where he is just a child watching a city destroyed by lightning. The invitation to cross keeps echoing around him. In Akane's visions, an image of himself always appears, breathing heavily and pouring all his energy into unleashing flames as if releasing all his resentment. He strives to pursue the path his father left unfinished. It was his father who awakened his fire ability, and also his father who made him carry the burden of dreams on his back. Akane wakes up to the call of the blue-haired girl. Beside him is the girl who stood under Ayato's eaves the other day, who also uses water abilities. The blue-haired girl guesses he is troubled by Ayato's words because his father is very important to him. On another side at Arthur's office, a boundary gate opens, and from it descends a man dressed like a clown named Loki. Loki brings tea and pastries to Arthur, and the chairman directly asks why he came. Loki is very curious about the kid Arthur recently recruited for the academy, and seeing the chairman's dark expression, Loki stops asking and leaves, though he is very interested in this new student. At Ayato's house, he is feeding a cat dry cookies and milk when suddenly the red-eyed boy appears again. The boy seems to understand Ayato very well, knowing that every time he sees this food, Ayato unconsciously recalls that past and cannot change it. Then the boy disappears into nothingness as he appeared. Behind Ayato is Akane and the blue-haired girl along with the water ability teacher, who reveal they came to welcome him to the academy. Through Akane's words, Ayato learns the blue-haired girl's name is Midori. His eyes are as calm as the sea at that moment. Akane's group keeps persuading him to join the academy, but Ayato says going there will not change anything. Midori sees a hint of unspeakable sadness in his eyes, and Akane wants Ayato to express his troubles, but seeing this is not possible, he angrily leaves. Midori explains Akane did not mean it, and she feels Ayato still has something bothering him, but he just stands there with calm eyes, not intending to say more. On another side, Akane, who just left, is wandering the streets with Bon, wondering why after the council reformed the world places like this slum still exist. Bon explains the world is not just one color as the council promised. Akane ponders the secrets Ayato and the council are hiding and recalls his father, who was called a genius of the academy, and even the council needed him. People from the council came to his mother announcing his father died in an experimental accident. But Akane always believes there is something hidden because his father would never carelessly die from his own mistake. Back at Ayato's house, Midori reveals that because Akane lost his father young, he misses him greatly, which is why he is so eager to know the truth about Ayato. Setting that aside, the girl using water ability standing nearby says the past is not important, but how you view the future, making Ayato pause. When the two girls leave, Ayato sees the red-eyed boy appear again, advising him to stay away from people like Akane because they will not understand Ayato's feelings. On another side, while Akane is walking in the ruined neighborhood, a dirty-faced boy rushes out to block his path. He is a beggar boy who seems very hungry and wants to ask for money. Akane is about to give him money, but realizes that is not a good way to help the boy long term. Suddenly from behind comes Ayato's voice, and the beggar boy runs to him affectionately asking for food. Ayato kindly wants to take the boy to eat something. Akane behind decides to find the boy's parents to ask questions, but Ayato reminds him it will not change anything. Suddenly a patrol robot of the World Council passes by. The robot walks a distance, then suddenly shuts down, and just as everyone is confused about what is happening, Loki emerges from the shadows with a sly smile. He activates the robot into combat mode, and two sharp drills emerge from its hands, stabbing wildly at everyone around. This forces Ayato, the boy and Akane to quickly hide in a dark corner. Akane immediately reports to command, but only receives a response that no malfunctioning robot is detected and help is on the way. Suddenly, the scared beggar boy runs to hide in an upper floor building, and the robot detecting movement fires its drill straight at him. The boy is unharmed but trapped in flames, just as Akane and Ayato are worried about the boy. Suddenly his father shouts the name Hiroto and runs over with an aluminum rod trying to save his son. But upon seeing the robot, the father falls into a painful memory and collapses helplessly. While Akane is shouting for the father to save the boy, Ayato stops him, realizing the father himself is also hurt. The command center, seeing the critical situation, locks down the entire area, and Midori also arrives just in time. Akane gives Ayato a driver so he can save Hiroto, and both Akane and Midori join the battle. Both use their drivers. Midori's driver is a magic staff, and she charges at the monster, while Akane's is fire boxing gloves. The two coordinate their attacks well, striking the robot repeatedly and stunning it. Meanwhile, Ayato runs upstairs and sees Hiroto cowering in a corner. He uses his driver, which is a water sword, and summons a whole rain shower to extinguish the flames. Just then, Akane and Midori arrive and embrace the boy. Midori checks and finds Hiroto is stable, while Akane confronts the father about why he did not save his son. Ayato reminds him the father tried, but unconscious fear overwhelmed his desire to save his child. When the father sees Hiroto wake up, he is overjoyed and wants to call the boy over, but because the boy saw his father's fearful inaction, Hiroto only nestles against Midori without any intention of going to his father. Seeing this, Akane resolutely persuades the boy to go hold his father's hand. Ayato also comforts the boy that his father did not want to save him, so the boy runs and embraces his father. Loki, watching from above, is very amused. Suddenly, in Ayato's vision, the red-eyed boy appears again and understands that Ayato never opens his heart because he fears being abandoned again, and this is also the mindset of his younger brother. Ayato recalls that rainy night when he witnessed his parents lying in pools of blood while his younger brother held a sharp knife, killing each of them one by one. The boy walked aimlessly, and young Ayato immediately ran to grab his brother's hand, begging him not to go. The divine gate appeared right behind the younger brother, and both of them saw it. The younger brother shook off Ayato's hand and left in his helplessness. At the main headquarters of the council, after Arthur assigns tasks to his assistant, he enters the room and lies down on the chair. Loki suddenly places a small crown on Arthur's head, making him contemplate it deeply. Some time later, Arthur welcomes the new student Ayato, who has joined the academy. The chairman reveals to Akane, Midori, and Ayato that he has found the key to the divine gate and wants the whole group to journey there together. Everyone has mixed emotions knowing about the existence of the divine gate, especially Ayato, because in both his subconscious and conscious mind, he wants to delve deeper to the gate to find his younger brother. In Midori's memories is the scene of her and her friend walking hand in hand to a festival, and then Midori wakes up from the dream, crying at those old memories. At Arthur's office, a new guest of the building appears from a space gate. He is dressed exactly like Loki, and his name is Oz. Arthur calmly states the purpose of inviting the two here, as he has found the key to the divine gate and wants them to journey there together. Oz looks dumbfounded upon hearing this and reminds Arthur that the council may not accept this proposal, but Arthur does not care much. Arthur instructs the two on a few things before leaving, letting them discuss among themselves. When Arthur goes out to the lobby, a little girl is casually knitting there. She senses a bad aura that seems to foretell some bad omen about to happen. At the arena, Midori is controlling her driver, fighting a white-haired young man named Jinji. Akane's group is watching with admiration while Ayato isolates himself. Beside him is the red-eyed boy from before, who realizes Midori is confused between consciousness and subconsciousness as she sinks into memories of the past when she and her friend were enjoying a festival. Midori notices some girls nearby discussing the location of the divine gate, which was recently found on Mount Hagakure. Those words that seemed like a passing breeze left a deep impression on the two girls' minds. On the way home, the best friends mentioned the divine gate, and when Midori asked her best friend about her wish if she encountered the gate, her friend replied she wished they could be friends forever. Back to the present, even though time is up, Midori stubbornly charges forward, but fortunately the teacher stops her in time, calming her down a bit. At the academy cafeteria, Akane's group discusses Midori's behavior, and a black-haired girl in the group thinks that if Midori has too strong a belief, it will blind her in everything. Midori is now immersed in a hot spring, lost in thought. Everyone is holding a party to welcome Ayato to the academy, and the students are having great fun. Midori also comes to Ayato offering him grilled chicken, but he refuses. Ayato uses the excuse that he has never eaten hot food, but the mysterious boy behind him reminds him of his trauma. Knowing that Ayato fears if he gets used to warmth he will crave it. Suddenly his train of thought is interrupted by the sound of breaking dishes. A blonde girl comes to Ayato wondering why he wants to find the divine gate. Midori nearby is also very anxious to know, and Akane understands the anxiety and longing in her. After a while, seeing Ayato has no intention of answering, Midori cheerfully jokes and affirms she will find that gate, making everyone laugh. From outside the building, a device resembling a robot is monitoring everything. After the party ends, Midori loses at rock, paper, scissors and has to stay to clean up the party venue. Akane kindly stays to help, and while she is annoyed about losing, she keeps mentioning she must be number one, making Akane very curious about why she wants that. Midori sinks into old memories. The only reason she blindly forces herself to reach the divine gate is for her friend. In those memories are the happy moments of two new students entering school for the first time. Just because Midori once made new friends, the bond between her and her best friend gradually became fragile. Then at the summer festival that year, when Midori was invited by her new friends to Mount Hagakure, she expressed wanting to bring her best friend along. That friend witnessed everything from afar, but a cold glint appeared in her eyes. On the way home, her friend seriously expressed she did not want to play with anyone but Midori and only wanted Midori to consider her number one. But Midori hesitantly said that was too much for her. This disappointed her best friend, who ran away. When Midori got home and invited Elena to hang out, her friend only gave a half-hearted response, saying she wanted to go to the place that makes wishes come true. When Midori and her new friends were hanging out at the spring festival, she suddenly received news that someone went missing on Mount Hagakure. Midori felt something was wrong and quickly ran to the location of the missing report. She pushed through the crowd of people, ignoring even the police warnings, and arrived at the divine gate, but it was too late. Elena's last message expressed she wanted to reach the divine gate because she only wanted to be friends with Midori. The girl fainted from shock at her friend's disappearance. Returning to reality is also when Midori finishes telling the story to Akane. She wants to reach the divine gate because she believes her friend is waiting there. All of this is overheard by Ayato hiding behind the wall, his expression pensive as if thinking of something far away. At the main headquarters of the academy, when Arthur speaks about opening the divine gate, everyone is extremely shocked and worried, but the chairman's daughter and wife still fully support him. A blonde young man leaves with an annoyed expression, as this seems to be quite bad news for him. The members also make excuses to leave one by one, ending the meeting. The next morning, Ayato is running hard on the academy training ground, and before him appears the image of the red-eyed boy standing opposite. The boy reveals that Ayato is actually lost, not knowing what he is doing here, always wanting to fulfill some unfinished dream or desire. Ayato's expression upon hearing this falls into contemplation as he remembers the image of his younger brother. He denies it to the boy in front of him, saying he has no such thoughts, but the boy has seen through his heart, understanding there is an unfillable void in him. The mysterious boy reminds Ayato he can hide it. Outwardly, he stubbornly affirms he will not look for the divine gate, but the red-eyed boy understands he wants to fulfill his wish and reunite with his missing younger brother. From afar, Akane and Midori witness Ayato talking to himself and are very curious. Midori seems to have some determination, and her eyes light up as she runs off. Nearby, a device is monitoring every move of the group. It turns out Midori is trying to look up information about Ayato to find a way to help him, but she cannot find anything. The system even issues an access restriction warning, which confuses Akane and Midori greatly. A young man is walking under the gray sky, where above layers of clouds are the soft blue lights of the moon, thanks to which he can blend into the dark night. At a laboratory, a boy is being restrained by thousands of machines. A voice introduces this as the fifth version in the automatic driver development phase. The doctor standing beside Chairman Arthur reveals to him the excellent combat power of the driver. The blonde standing nearby casually says he does not like it and leaves. The chairman is used to his hot temper and just laughs it off. Suddenly, Arthur asks his assistant beside him about the situation of the new student. The assistant mentions the name Brunner, who is sick, and the chairman instructs her to let the new student rest. The doctor who invented the machine is secretly standing nearby scheming. At Ayato's house, a robot is observing him from afar. Ayato also notices this surveillance, but does not want to alert anyone. Behind the monitoring screen is a blonde young man who looks exactly like Ayato and seems to hate him very much, wanting to find evidence that Ayato killed his father. At the school cafeteria, Akane and Midori find Ayato to talk. Akane does not beat around the bush and directly mentions that his information is restricted, so they cannot access it. Ayato questions their intentions. Akane is quite embarrassed to say they want to help him, thinking there must be something hidden in the case of his parents' murder. Seeing he does not intend to say anything, Midori quickly introduces a friend-making app to Ayato, through which she wants to befriend him to learn more. She also reveals that Ms. Undyne, who visited Ayato's house, initially also uses this platform, but Ayato is not interested and leaves. On the way down the elevator, Midori unexpectedly receives a friend request from an account named Blue Stray Cat. Akane panics, thinking someone is stalking them. Midori clicks on the link the account sent, and it turns out this account is trying to reveal to her how to access secret information just by having an access card. Akane and Midori, out of curiosity, break into Ms. Undyne's office. Just as Akane successfully takes the card and is about to sneak away, Ms. Undyne suddenly appears. Fortunately, Midori quickly hands her the cake she just bought, and both barely escape. Upon arriving and scanning the card to access information, Midori looks up Ayato's secret information, and an article about Blue Christmas appears. Reading the content, both learn that on December 24th in the human world, many people were murdered by a man. On another side, the blonde young man monitoring Ayato receives access information from Undyne's card about Ayato. At the same time, in Arthur's room, Loki is urgently summoned due to the disappearance of a research student from the laboratory. The blonde young man is running hard through the technology building lobby, as if searching for something. On another side, Akane and Midori research the Blue Christmas incident and learn there is a surviving witness from that year, a girl named Rory. According to her testimony, the person who caused the incident that year was a blonde, blue-eyed person holding a water sword. From the description, they are surprised because this person closely resembles Ayato. Just as they are about to research, more numerous guard robots appear. The library door opens and a blonde young man enters, asking what they are doing with a stolen access card. Akane recognizes him as a member of Arthur's night squad named Brunner. He decides to tell them the truth about Blue Christmas. On another side, when Brunner has left his surveillance post of Ayato, a mysterious masked person has come to cut off his surveillance connection. Ayato at this moment receives a message from the Blue Stray Cat account, and upon seeing the content about Blue Christmas inside, he is extremely shocked. The masked person at this moment recalls that Christmas night where he and Ayato met. At that time, the masked person was still a young man walking in a shopping center when suddenly the power went out. Someone resembling Ayato appeared in a full cloak and killed a nearby security guard, then continuously used ice to prevent everyone from escaping. That person charged up and one-shot each unfortunate guest. The blonde, seeing this, was not scared but very excited. He was slashed once by the Ayato lookalike, crystallizing into an ice mask on his face, and together they slaughtered everyone. Brunner's father that year also died horribly at the hands of those cruel killers while protecting little Rory. By the time Brunner arrived, it was too late, and his father could only describe the killer as someone with deep blue eyes. Since then, he has been tracking down the one who killed his father. Back to the present, Akane thinks it is not certainly Ayato, which is why Brunner needs help to find the one behind it. When he opens the surveillance, Ayato's location has disappeared. Fortunately, Ayato has a location tracking device on the Friend app, and she discovers he is at the Blue Christmas ruins. When Ayato arrives at the meeting point, he discovers the masked person is also here. The masked person seems to feel Ayato is not the person from that night because his eyes are very pure. Just then, Brunner along with Akane and Midori arrive in time, and Brunner attacks, pushing the other back. Brunner recognizes the masked person known as the genius of the saints named Schrödinger, or Dinger for short. Seeing the situation, Dinger summons many combat machines. Brunner and the pair Akane and Midori split up to fight, while Ayato furiously charges to fight Dinger, asking him about the whereabouts of the one who looks exactly like him. Dinger realizes he is not the blonde from that night and is quite disappointed, but summons a machine he calls Samadare and orders it to eliminate everyone. Before Ayato can react, Brunner is already in front of him fighting the machine. Ayato also charges up to assist Brunner fighting Samadare together when suddenly the robot's mask breaks. He immediately recognizes the familiar face of his disappeared younger brother. The masked person after that battle also slips away, leaving Ayato with countless questions about his brother's whereabouts. Brunner also comes to question about the Blue Christmas incident that year. Ayato, to avoid implicating his brother, takes the blame on himself, but Brunner dismisses it. When everyone approaches the robot, its eyes suddenly glow. Samadare recognizes Ayato as its master. Midori comes up with the idea of getting him to post a photo with the robot on the friend circle. When he sees Emma's Undyne like the photo, he smiles very slightly. In the distance, the supposedly missing younger brother of Ayato appears, showing a very mysterious smile. The image of an ancient castle appears as a mysterious voice introduces another world. Behind the glamorous appearance we usually see, that world is extremely dark. The world of those living in shadows called the disobedient. On a train heading to the abandoned ruins, Midori is sitting with her friends Akane and Ayato. She is very curious about where the abandoned world is when suddenly the pet Bon appears and explains to its owner that it is the land the government council cannot manage, and also where students will have to go for training. When the train reaches its stop, Midori excitedly looks outside to admire the scenery, marveling at the beauty here. Meanwhile, Akane wonders why there is no surveillance equipment for training when suddenly Jinji appears. He is a young man not interested in anything except killing. He mocks Akane, making him furious and about to argue with Jinji, but Hikari stops him. She is a girl who always appears with a bright smile on her lips. Midori goes to greet the girls, and Yukari is also standing nearby deep in thought. She notices the deep darkness in Ayato's eyes. When the whole group proceeds to the outside area, a girl wearing a horse mask greets them very enthusiastically, but the group thinks she is weird and ignores her, making her tearfully chase after them. When she removes the horse mask, a beautiful radiant face is revealed. She introduces herself as a member of Arthur's Round Knights named Bediver. It turns out that strange horse mask was something her terrible teammate Ewain told her to wear, making her cry bitterly about being tricked. Jinji immediately gets to the main topic, asking when training will start, and she announces training begins right now. The group splits up with Jinji going alone while Ayato, Akane and Midori go together. They pass through a dense green forest and arrive at a place resembling an ancient temple where they meet Brunner again along with a white-haired old man. He introduces his mission is to participate in training the group, and the uncle beside him is Palamides who will fight them first. He prepares a sumo wrestling ring. Then Palamides strips to the waist and gets into position. Akane, not to be outdone, strips off his shirt and charges in to wrestle him. Midori is speechless and turns to the side only to see an eye-catching scene of Ayato stripping to join in, revealing an amazing body that makes her embarrassed. At another training location, Akane's group must participate in answering questions where Akane and Ayato must run into the door they think has the correct answer. In the end, Akane fails and falls face first into the mud behind the door. At a stream, he is using the cool water to wash the mud off his face. Akane touches the flame-shaped pendant on his chest and sinks into memories of his father when suddenly a pink-haired girl appears in a nearby tree. Seeing him, she is startled and falls down, and before Akane can understand what happened, he also slips and falls when trying to stand up. The girl and Akane sit by the stream chatting. She compliments his pendant as beautiful, but also asks him a rather strange question about whether he would choose friends or this pendant. Akane says they cannot be compared, but the girl casually asks if he could give her the necklace as she really wants a precious item of her own. When Akane asks about this, she mysteriously says only happy people can say such things. Suddenly, Akane's friends find him and Midori wonders what he is doing here. Akane turns around to find the pink-haired girl has already slipped away. On another side, Arthur and everyone are monitoring the group. The blonde young man beside him feels quite uncomfortable about how he is training students toward the Divine Gate, but Arthur only shows a mysterious smile. On another side, Akane's group has returned to the tent and everyone goes to wash up after a long day. Ayato sees Akane deep in thought and speaks up asking. Akane confides about his encounter with the girl in the forest who appeared and disappeared like a ghost. In the evening, inside the tent, everyone is eating. The group questions Bediver about the purpose of this trip, but even she does not know the council's purpose. After eating their fill, they are given a mission to return to the original train station. After walking for a while, they notice a group of people ahead who suddenly transform into beasts and charge to attack. Ayato immediately recognizes them as second. Humans who crave power so much they transcend their species to reach the Divine Gate. Suddenly, Akane reminds everyone to complete the mission of returning to the train station. When he and the group pass by an abandoned house, Akane seems to sense something and enters. Suddenly, the girl from earlier rushes out to attack him. Akane is very confused why she would do this, and the girl reveals she must eliminate intruders here. She was once human but was abandoned by the council and became like this. She uses her driver to attack Akane. Ayato's group fights while walking for a while when he realizes Akane is missing and immediately goes back with everyone to search. At the base, Arthur guesses the second are probably from the heretic grimoire. Some members around suggest sending rescue troops to help the kids, but Arthur refuses. Suddenly, Loki and Oz appear to advise the chairman. On the other side, Akane is fighting the pink-haired girl. He is very curious what a disobedient is, and she just smirks at his naivety. She reveals she still wants the necklace around Akane's neck, jealous of the happiness he has, just as she is about to attack him again. Fortunately, Ayato arrives in time using his driver to knock her far away. She orders the surrounding second to attack them. Ayato advises Akane to speak his heart to persuade her. He listens and confesses he did not know people outside lived so miserably. Akane expresses his desire to help, but is attacked by her, causing him serious injury. She reminds him that his happiness has weakened him. Just as the pink-haired girl is about to finish him off, a blade cuts her in half. It turns out Bediver and members of the Night Squad have arrived. She reveals Arthur does not want to lose anyone, so the Night Squad charges up, continuously slashing the second to death. On the other side of the screen, Loki is watching the battle with Arthur. Loki knows well that no matter what, Arthur will stubbornly go find the Divine Gate. When the Night Squad has eliminated all enemies, Akane sits beside the dying pink-haired girl. She wipes the dirt from his face before sinking into eternal sleep, leaving him in unceasing pain. Ayato also realizes both Akane's unconscious and conscious mind wanted to save the girl, but he did not have the ability to do so. Akane screams in helplessness. In a brightly white room, a platinum-haired boy is sitting alone on a mat. He was born in the human world, but no one cared for him, leaving him lonely by himself. Then one day, the Divine Gate appears and the boy enters it. He only sees a cold, snowy region with a faint crescent moon, which cannot change the loneliness in his heart. He wanders aimlessly until he meets an older boy who introduces this place as the outskirts of the celestial world. The older boy realizes this kid seems to come from the human world, and today is also Christmas. The white-haired older brother, seeing the little boy all alone, feels sorry and transforms into Santa Claus, wanting to give the boy a gift. The white-haired one promises to give him a new beginning. At that moment, a purple-eyed girl runs over, and the white-haired one introduces her to the boy, a new close friend of theirs. On another side, in the church room of the World Association, Arthur is standing before the council. A voice introduces the previous tragedy when the Divine Gate last opened, causing the three worlds to merge, resulting in large-scale chaos. Arthur hopes nothing similar to the Blue Christmas tragedy will happen. The council feels he is too stubborn about exploring the world beyond the Divine Gate, but Arthur is very confident because he has found promising vigilantes to participate in this expedition. In the Great Hall, Loki and Oz watch Arthur's dialogue with council members through a screen. Oz feels Arthur's wish is crazy, while Loki beside him is very excited about everything about to happen. At the council office, Arthur expresses his wish to go through the Divine Gate with the Night Squad accompanying him. Most people are quite surprised by his decision, but they still agree to accompany Arthur on this difficult expedition. A blonde young man stands up to ask about his intentions after entering the Divine Gate. Arthur reminds everyone the gate grants the power to reset the world to those who pass through it. He wants to use that power to return the world to its true nature. Arthur really needs the Night Squad to accompany him, and everyone of course wants to go with him on this journey. At the training ground, Midori along with Akane and Ayato are racing. She finishes first and feels exhilarated when suddenly Brunner comes looking for them. He reminds the group Arthur wants to talk to everyone. Brunner reveals the intention to go to the Divine Gate, and Akane is quite anxious, not knowing if Arthur will let them come along. Both Akane and Midori run to the chairman. Ayato is also about to follow when the mysterious boy appears again. The boy asks Ayato about the wish he intends to make. The boy feels that Ayato is gradually changing, heading toward the future ahead, even knowing he will have to go through pain again. At Arthur's office, the whole group has gathered here. The chairman reveals he loves looking at empty fish tanks because he feels interested whenever he thinks about what to put in them. When Ayato looks at it, he remembers his family, which quite surprises the group. Arthur also does not seem too surprised by this choice, and says the world has many different choices, which is why it can never exist as a unified whole. Arthur stands up and invites Akane's group to join the journey to the Divine Gate despite the kids' doubts. He reminds them only those who believe enough in the gate can enter it. On another side, Oz and Loki are arguing about Arthur's idea of resetting the world. Loki reminds Oz that if he does not trust Arthur's decision, he should make his own choice, making Oz annoyed and leave. Loki at this moment sinks into memories of when he first met Arthur. At that time, he was the blonde boy who had passed through the Divine Gate, standing before a vast meadow. He approached Arthur to ask about his wish. Arthur greatly surprised Loki because he only wished to become king to bring peace to the world and reduce people's suffering. That kind heart made Loki fall for him. From that moment, he decided to accompany the boy on the difficult path toward the future. Back to the present, Loki enters the laboratory and reminds the scientists there about activating the Twilight Judgment Project. On top of the high-tech tower, Oz and the other knights are using drivers to demonstrate their power as if they want to accomplish something mysterious. At the training ground, Akane, Ayato and Midori's group along with teachers are discussing the Divine Gate. Midori asks if Ayato does not intend to go. Ayato sinks into memories of when Arthur spoke about his purpose in finding the Divine Gate. He wants to become a king ruling the country using the great power of the gate, all because of a friend who appears once a year named Santa Claus, which greatly surprises Midori. Midori is now wondering with the group whether only the first person to pass through the gate can have their wish granted. The teachers deny this, saying the gate grants wishes to everyone who enters. That is why when the gate first opened, the world became chaotic. Akane and Midori are determined to go no matter what. Undyne asks if Ayato intends to go. He is quite pensive, but then decides to go through with it. Ayato will go to the Divine Gate with everyone. On the day everyone gathers, Arthur stands before them introducing two guests who will accompany them this time. Oz steps forward to introduce himself first as a descendant from the Dragon World. Loki beside him is also calm, letting everyone know he is from the Divine World. Akane does not trust these gods much, while Jinji beside him looks pensively at Loki, remembering the covenant from that day when Jinji met him. At the training ground, Midori is very diligently running around to prepare for the trip. Akane is also deep in thought about finding the truth about his father. On another side, Ayato is talking with the mysterious boy. The boy sees through Ayato's wish to be able to decide what he should do. Suddenly, Undyne runs to him, immediately returning the space to normal. She reveals Arthur wants to see him. When Ayato arrives at the chairman's place, Arthur reveals to him that he always wanted to repay his friend Santa, the one who gave him everything when he had nothing. He is always afraid of emptiness and loss, which is why he lied when saying he liked empty fish tanks. Arthur also knows Ayato takes all the blame on himself to protect his younger brother, because only when you consider something more important than yourself will you become stronger than anyone. At Arthur's office, Loki is sitting with his legs crossed casually, looking at Arthur with great interest. Loki asks the chairman about his plans after reaching the Divine Gate. Arthur smiles mysteriously and approaches Loki's ear to whisper something. Then Arthur leaves the office and calls out to the members outside to prepare for departure to the gate. Arthur now reveals his true purpose. He wants to permanently destroy the Divine Gate, believing it is the origin of all tragedies and the main cause of the three worlds merging, causing chaos for the people. The peaceful reality of the city now is just a facade. At this moment, the Nautrons have gotten into position to create an extremely strong magnetic field. Arthur uses the Holy Sword to release a brilliant golden aura, successfully summoning the Divine Gate. Before going to the world beyond the gate, the group must pass through a chaotic space. Before them is a huge gate. Midori thinks they have reached the gate when suddenly another member reminds her that countless gates like this will appear before they reach the Divine Gate. Passing through the first gate is a corridor leading to a magnificent palace. Before the students can understand the situation, Arthur orders the Night Squad members to be ready, and they pull out their drivers one by one. Suddenly, numerous drivers go out of control and charge to attack. Arthur knows this is Loki's challenge for them. He leads the whole team to charge into battle, breaking through rows of robots, and finally the group destroys a large number of robots before entering the palace. The group realizes there are two winding staircases before them leading to the source of the blinding lights. At the top are the gods who rule the earth from above. They are the trial for humans, and Arthur's group must overcome them to continue. With the Night Squad's encouragement, they quickly use drivers to launch their attack. Arthur leads Akane's group running along the stairs to the top of the tower. Akane realizes Arthur had to leave the Night Squad behind to fight in order to achieve his goal. When the group is almost at the top, a god using fire magic suddenly blocks their path. He unleashes an attack that separates the group. Jinji and Yukari are knocked to another staircase. Just as the god is about to attack Arthur, his little daughter immediately rushes up to rescue her father. Arthur and the group manage to run through the next door, but the little girl is unfortunately pierced through by the fire god. Old man Palamides catches the girl just in time and hands her to Arthur before closing the gate, fighting the god alone. Little Gaui in her father's arms apologizes, regretting she could not keep the treasure her father gave her. Gaui only has time to look at her father one last time before dying. The girl's death breaks everyone's hearts. Although Arthur is in agonizing pain, he can only put the girl down and continue calling Akane's group to move on, surprising them with his seeming coldness. On another side, the knights are fighting with the spirit of sacrifice. The female knights gather together to strike, but are still crushed by the terrifying power of the gods. The male knights are no better off, having been seriously wounded and sacrificed, leaving only a few knights. The blue-haired girl and old Palamides are facing a very powerful god. Brunner also sacrifices himself so the pink-haired girl can continue fighting. A god witnessing this mocks her, but the pink-haired girl does not care and continues fighting, not wanting her comrade's sacrifice to be meaningless. The hot-tempered blonde questions a god about why they block their path. The god reminds him they are the gatekeepers, and this is their duty. Oz outside the gate senses each person falling and is in extreme anguish, hating that he cannot stop them from confronting the gods. The blonde recalls when he first met Arthur, and how he was moved by Arthur's determination to become king. The blonde seems powered up and continues to fight with the gods above. Elsewhere, Arthur meets the pink-haired girl Triss again, who is now seriously wounded. He asks about the whereabouts of the other knights and receives news that most are in bad shape. After her final words, Triss also breathes her last and closes her eyes. Midori is almost crushed by the cruel reality, not understanding why so many people had to sacrifice. Arthur says it is to achieve the noble purpose. He is the one who will bear the pain on his shoulders, carrying the responsibility that the knights trusted him with. His determination shows Akane's group the king's dedication, and they still decide to accompany him to the end. At the laboratory, Loki is watching with a scientist the rise of a powerful entity predicted to be Arthur's next challenge. On another side, the chairman has broken through the final gate to reach the Divine Gate. When they enter, an extremely powerful pressure makes Akane's group hesitate. Arthur reveals this is the final challenge. He struggles to step toward the Divine Gate right before his eyes. Arthur walks while recalling the warriors who sacrificed. At the entrance to the final gate, Brunner has not died and meets the young knight boy who is now seriously wounded and unconscious in Brunner's arms. Above Brunner are the gods. Just as he is confident Arthur is about to succeed, a god suddenly reveals that what they are protecting is not the Divine Gate. This shocks Brunner. When Arthur has stepped through the Divine Gate, Loki's artificial robot suddenly charges in and pushes Arthur into the gate before it closes, confusing Akane's group. Inside, the robot uses drivers of multiple elements and continuously attacks Arthur relentlessly. He uses all his strength trying to destroy her. Outside, Akane's group is also trying to find a way to open the gate to rescue the chairman. Brunner approaches from behind with a very calm expression. Inside the gate, Arthur is now seriously wounded after the battle with the robot when suddenly Loki emerges from a barrier. In his hand is the Holy Sword, genius of the saints. Loki sees Arthur is so pitiful he cannot even hold a sword, so he gives him two choices: either be controlled by him or die at Loki's hand. Arthur, as Loki predicted, does not submit. Loki is bored and stops talking, leaving to find a king to replace Arthur. Arthur at this moment also has his own plans. He picks up the sword Loki threw back and struggles to stand up. Outside, the gate finally opens for the group. Arthur emerges from the dust, but he is now controlled by Loki. One strike pierces through Brunner, making him collapse on the spot. The gate also closes before the students can understand the situation. The ground beneath them cracks, and the whole group falls into an endless abyss. Outside the gate, a towering tower rises up in the technology city. A mysterious voice speaks, telling the story of an arrogant person who once built a tower reaching the sky where the gods dwell. As punishment, the gods struck it down with a thunderbolt. Yet now these humans dare to look toward the divine gate, the dwelling place of the gods. At this moment, Arthur's hair has turned black and white. He sits on the golden throne at the top of the newly appeared tower in the middle of the city. His eyes are lifeless, but in Arthur's mind there is still a fragment of his soul remaining. Loki realizes this. Arthur is now under Loki's control. Throughout the city, the council issues an urgent curfew, requiring citizens not to leave their homes after 8 p.m. Using the excuse of a system error needing repair, Oz is in the council room reporting Arthur's coup attempt to the supreme authority above. It turns out Oz called the northern gods to stop them from letting Arthur do something foolish. Just then, Loki enters with a half smile, calmly reporting the sacrifice of the Night Squad and Arthur, horrifying Oz. After the council meeting, Oz chases after Loki outside to question him. He desperately wants to know the real situation of Arthur, the Night Squad, and the students. Loki mockingly reminds him they both wanted to oppose the Six Saints, and their sacrifice was according to plan. He and Loki are on the same front. Oz does not care about that at all and stubbornly asks about the Academy Group's situation. Loki then reveals the cruel truth that the Night Group and Arthur have all died in battle. Oz is stunned because the very gods he summoned were the direct cause of their deaths. At the same time, a group of teachers with their faces fully covered sneak into a mansion. Undyne and everyone go to the library, open a secret chamber, and go down. It turns out this is the hiding place of Akane's group, who are still alive after that fall. Undyne reveals the council is closely monitoring their whereabouts. She gives medicine, food, and clothes to the students before leaving to avoid the school council's suspicion. After the teachers leave, Gingy calls out Santa Claus, Arthur's friend who appears once a year. He seriously analyzes that Arthur's act of killing Lancelot is the clearest betrayal, but Midori disagrees, believing Arthur was being controlled by someone. Akane also noticed Loki's presence at that time. It turns out Santa was the one who helped the teachers rescue the trapped students. Recalling when the group was escaping, Hikari's leg was injured, and she could not continue. He was the one who appeared just in time to save the group. Gingy asks Santa about his purpose. He simply expresses it is a promise to Arthur. Elsewhere at the Academy laboratory, Loki excitedly enters and very intimately puts his arm around a nearby scientist, expressing to the scientist about the Twilight Judgment Plan. A blue-haired little girl suddenly jumps out, startling Loki. Her name is Shakespeare. He enthusiastically introduces the tragedy he has set up. Before her questions about his script, Loki just pats her head and mentions that Shake can use her holy pen to write out that terrible script. In the study, Oz is deeply regretting having indirectly killed the students, the Night Squad, and Arthur. Elena, Midori's long-lost friend, brings tea into the study. She is extremely frightened when she sees the familiar name and face of her friend Midori appearing on the casualty list. On another side, in the basement secret chamber, Santa reveals to the group that the council is hiding many secrets. They even know the truth behind Akane's father's death and Elena's disappearance, making them very anxious to know the truth. But the council has hidden it so well that even Santa and Arthur did not know about this. He reminds everyone this is all Loki's arrangement. He secretly collaborated with scientists called the Geniuses of the Saints to secretly manipulate the entire council. Santa understands Loki's intention very well. He wants to use the gate to recreate the world. When Arthur found out, he risked his life to destroy the divine gate. When everyone worriedly asks what to do now, Santa reminds them the right to determine the world will be given to whoever reaches the gate. Santa kneels before the students and begs them to return to the gate. Akane's group realizes going back there is basically seeking death, so they are very hesitant. Santa reveals that Arthur trusted and chose them for this mission. Ayato sits dazed in a room with the mysterious red-eyed boy before him. The boy asks Ayato if he wants to change the future or the past. The boy knows he is gradually opening up. Suddenly, Gingy enters the room calling Ayato out. The situation now is quite complicated, divided into two sides. One side is Gingy, Yukari, and Hikari, who want to return to the council, thinking Arthur might be the bad guy. The other side is Akane's group, who still trust the chairman. Yukari thinks they might have been dragged into this mess by the chairman. They do not want to go deeper. Gingy advises the group it is best to return to the council. but everyone in Akane's group has their own goal for reaching the gate. Akane wants to find out the truth about his father's death. Midori needs to see her friend again, and even Ayato wants to investigate his younger brother's disappearance. Jinji, seeing he cannot persuade them, leaves with the two girls Hikari and Yukari to return to the council. They wish the group well. When they arrive at the council, Jinji's group faces Loki's interrogation. Both girls Yukari and Hikari do not reveal the hiding place. Only Jinji is swayed by Loki's sweet words. But when Jinji leads Loki to what should be Akane's group's shelter, it turns out Santa had anticipated this and used memory scrambling magic so Jinji and the group cannot remember Akane's group's exact location. Jinji suddenly has an idea. He immediately goes to find the teachers, telling them the student shelter has been found and they must evacuate quickly before Loki discovers it. When Undyne and the teachers arrive at Akane's place, they discover they have been tricked. Loki immediately surrounds them with drivers. Santa, seeing the bad situation, asks for Akane's group's decision. Seeing their determination to reach the Divine Gate, he charges out to clear a path, fighting Loki's army so the group can escape. Akane's group runs through a long tunnel that, according to Santa, leads straight to the Divine Gate. In the city sky, a gate opens. On it, Little Shake uses her holy pen with Loki to write a command, making Akane's group disappear before the teachers in the basement. Where will they go? Above the vast sky, Loki and Little Shakespeare are in a paradise garden. Loki excitedly asks the girl about the story she wrote. The story tells of a king who was very beloved by everyone, but then was hated by the members. She is referring to Arthur. At this moment, she suddenly mentions he has exchanged love for eternity, being controlled by Loki. Akane, Ayato, and Midori's group is teleported straight to the path to the Divine Gate. They are chased by many drivers. A mocking voice echoes. It is Loki together with Shakespeare using the holy pen to arrange everything. The running group also falls into a bottomless pit. When they open their eyes, they see countless spectators sitting there watching. The whole group is standing on a strange stage. Akane, seeing the bad situation, tries to escape, but there seems to be an invisible force field around them, preventing the group from fleeing. Shakespeare writes more plot for the play. Beside Ayato suddenly appears a pink-haired boy named Hamlet. Beside Midori, a blonde girl, Macbeth, poses very confidently. Even beside Akane, there is a strange guy named Othello. They are all actors in Little Shakespeare's play. Hearing Loki request more breakthrough plot points, she excitedly sits up. Shakespeare writes words in the air, gradually forming the plays in her head. Akane, following the words without understanding, is transformed into a village girl. Midori becomes a prisoner caught for failing to assassinate the Lord. As for Ayato, he is forced to lie pinned on a bed, becoming a beautiful but ill-fated boy, weak and just waiting to die when the last leaf outside falls. Next is Akane's performance. He is an actor in the Cinderella play. He is forced by a mysterious power to make strange expressions and lines. When Othello arrives, young Akane very reluctantly has to play the good daughter and embrace his father. The play even gives him a mother and stepsister. The scene changes. This time he has to wear dirty clothes and kneel on the floor to scrub it while being beaten by his mother and sister. On Midori and Ayato's side, they are forced to stay in their current state. He lies bedridden while she holds the prison bars waiting for judgment. At the climax, on Akane's side, Shakespeare writes to the part where Cinderella receives an invitation letter. After a series of cheesy lines, Othello appears in the form of a fairy godmother. Loki thinks this part is quite boring, so Shakespeare stops writing to think. In that sudden pause, Akane sees his father. While he is still confused, the lights turn on. Akane's costume is now a princess dress. He is invited to dance by a prince, but immediately the masked figure leans close to Akane's ear, revealing he is Akane's missing father. On Midori's side, she is forced to keep running according to the script. Loki also finds this scene not right. Shakespeare stops writing to discuss. The stage lights turn off once again. Akane's father removes his mask and declares now is their chance, then drags his son away running. Outside, this scene falls into the sight of Loki and Shakespeare. The girl is very excited and immediately thinks of a brand new script. Shake writes that Akane is in Othello's arms. Midori performs with Macbeth, and Ayato holds hands with someone. The girl's play ending is everyone dies together. While Ayato is still following the script and looking out the window saying his final words, suddenly memories of his younger brother awaken in him. Ayato springs up and runs away despite Hamlet's obstruction. Father and son Akane arrive at a hallway where Loki cannot monitor. Akane, without holding back, slaps his father straight in the face, questioning why he faked his own death. Midori, while continuously running, hears someone's voice from behind. She turns around and the scenery has become the familiar road home. Midori sees Elena running past and is very confused. She immediately runs after her friend. On Ayato's side, he sees the familiar house from before. Someone from behind drapes a warm scarf over Ayato. He turns around and sees it is his missing younger brother. Akane and his father at this moment are reflecting on old memories. His father tells him he had a noble mission, which is why he had to leave mother and son behind. The father now takes out a pair of baseball gloves and invites Akane to play like the old days. Midori, while running after her friend, trips and falls. Elena turns back to help her up. Her friend is deeply remorseful that her selfish thoughts caused them to separate. Elena reminds Midori that the only friend she has is Midori, and she loves her very much. Ayato stands facing his younger brother. The brother says he has traveled to many places, but has always been curious about his older brother. Wondering if he had held Ayato's hand, that time would the tragedy have happened. Seeing his younger brother before him, Ayato only calmly asks who he is. He knows this is not his real brother. On Midori's side, she and her friend are walking under the night sky. Midori feels very remorseful for abandoning Elena, but her friend does not mind. She only expresses how much she misses Midori. But when Midori takes out the friendship keepsake of the two, Elena cannot remember what it is. On Akane's side, he is playing ball with his father. The father asks if he wants to go back to before, living together as a family of 3. When Akane asks about his research dream, the father says he should not abandon mother and son for something like that. The key point that makes Akane suspicious is the statement that dreams are just dreams if they cannot become reality. His father would never say such words because he is someone who could abandon mother and son for his dream. There is no way someone so persistent in pursuing their dream could give it up so easily. He steps back and asks for the true identity of the person before him. A fellow's form appears, speaking in a mechanical tone that the mission has failed. On Midori and Ayato's side, friend Elena and the younger brother also reveal their true forms one by one. They are actually Macbeth and Hamlet in disguise. Shakespeare's holy pen has lost its effect, leaving her very confused. But Loki thinks this is the real good play. He snaps his fingers, making Shakespeare immediately fall into deep sleep, while Akane's group falls into deep pits once again. Loki's play called Reality is about to begin. In Arthur's consciousness, Loki is rambling about human nature. Arthur does not care about that. Arthur, outside of reality, is trapped in the form of an emperor. In Arthur's subconscious, Loki is invading. He is very excited to see Arthur's friend Santa Claus coming to rescue his friend. But Loki is certain he cannot fight against the northern gods invited by Oz. Loki leaves Arthur in a contemplative state. At this moment, Akane's whole group has fallen into a black hole, each person separated to different places. Ayato wakes up and finds himself in the Great Hall, where Arthur's Night Squad had sacrificed themselves so the group could continue. The red-eyed boy appears again. He urges Ayato to go quickly because the gods are coming. On Akane's side, he is lost at the first gate. Suddenly, numerous drivers appear, chasing him, running desperately. On both sides of the walls appear many cannons aimed straight at Akane and firing. Midori at this moment is in a hallway full of green moss when suddenly she hears explosions somewhere. She runs toward the direction of the sound. Suddenly, Midori meets Elena again, standing ahead. The friend smiles while Midori freezes, not believing her eyes. On Akane's side, he is using his driver to fend off the ferocious machines. When he is cornered, suddenly a long streak of fire passes by him. The robots in front of Akane are destroyed in an instant before his bewildered eyes. From the smoke, his long-missing father appears. Akane still suspects he is Othello in disguise. The father is confused about why, after being gone for only a short time, someone has already impersonated him to his son. To prove himself, he uses fire magic to destroy the obstructing drivers around them. The teachers at this moment are standing before the towering tower. They sense Akane's group's presence and immediately run to the top. Midori looks at Elena before her, because she was tricked by Shakespeare's illusion before. This time, when her friend approaches, Midori raises her driver in defense. Elena, seeing she cannot convince her friend, knows she can only fight Midori to prove she is the real Elena. Akane at this moment is exchanging blows with his father. The father tells his son about when he was little, how Akane almost died at birth because his mother had a natural birth at that age. Only family members would know this. Akane then stops fighting. The father turns his back and tells his son to return to the council. He reveals that the deaths of the Night Squad and Arthur were all his doing, leaving his son stunned. The father says everything is for the Divine Gate. Many people have sacrificed for the gate. Even the drivers the group uses are all research results from the Divine Gate. That is why they must sacrifice a few to save many more lives. He had to stop Arthur's group from destroying the gate. This shocks and angers Akane upon learning this. He questions his father about his cruelty and the council's. Akane is deeply disappointed that his father betrayed mother and son's trust, pushing his childhood years into fatherless orphanhood. Akane is determined to confront his father to the end. He uses his driver to charge forward, but the father still dodges. Loki, high above along with Arthur, witnesses the entire scene of Akane, Midori, and Ayato struggling below. He is very excited to await the next tragedy. Arthur exposes Loki, knowing he plans to use Akane's group to open the Divine Gate and complete the world reset. Arthur directly points out that the appearance of the Northern Gods will make Loki's plan fail. But Loki does not care much because reaching the Divine Gate requires the correct key to open it, and Akane's group must experience despair to obtain that key. Loki reveals his intention is to make Arthur the king of this world. At the Supreme Council, Jinji is being questioned by members. They think he knows Ayato, Akane and Midori are still alive. While he still does not understand the council's intention, they remind Jinji he is an important member of the human world. The members now no longer trust Oz and Loki. Only Jinji can approach the Divine Gate. Suddenly, the one in power above mentions that his friends Hikari and Yukari are important figures of the celestial and demon worlds. The fully covered council members are now in Hikari's room. They call her princess and want to take her back to the palace. Yukari on the train at this moment also meets the mysterious members. She is escorted back. In Arthur's consciousness, Loki is standing behind him. He realizes Arthur's petty tricks. Originally, Loki had placed a curse to make Arthur belong only to him. But the fragment of his soul now is just a very small piece. Loki wonders where Arthur's true heart is. Santa Claus at this time is walking in a dark hallway when suddenly he sees a place emitting a glittering red light. Santa's eyes light up immediately and he runs toward it to take the item. Suddenly, a purple-haired girl appears. She uses a barrier to attack him, but Santa manages to grab the item and escape. On another side, Midori is fighting Elena very intensely. Midori is furious, absolutely refusing to let any imposter ruin the good memories of her friend. Elena shows the friendship keychain she had always hidden. She now has a group of friends and a place to belong, even changing her name to Dorothy. She advises Midori to forget about that day. Because Dorothy snuck out from Oz, she now has to return. From behind, a clear female voice echoes. It is a powerful northern god. On Ayato's side, the mysterious boy reveals that Akane and Midori must experience despair to reach the Divine Gate. Suddenly, Undyne runs over. She looks at the boy beside Ayato. It turns out she has always seen him for a long time. On Midori's side, Dorothy is knocked away by the god. To protect her friend, she runs off to provoke the god, making her go on a killing chase. Father and son Akane are fighting intensely when suddenly a flame flies toward them. Before Akane can orient himself, his father pushes him away. It turns out the northern god who uses fire has arrived. To protect his son, Akane's father uses his driver to forcibly teleport the boy elsewhere while he stays alone to fight the god. He gathers the drivers into a giant arm and strikes at the god. Although the god dodges, he is bound by chains and the giant hand immediately squeezes him tight. The god tries to counterattack and charges to stab Akane's father, but is embraced by him. The father detonates a bomb to mutually destroy each other. Akane, witnessing everything, falls into a state of extreme shock. Midori at this moment, fighting the god carelessly, is cornered. Just as the god is about to deliver the finishing blow to Midori, Dorothy rushes in to block the attack. Midori only manages to grab the purple ribbon from her friend before being pushed into an abyss. Oz runs over, but it is too late because Dorothy has fallen in battle. Midori hugs the ribbon in utter despair. Loki at this moment is extremely excited because Akane's group all have the keys to the Divine Gate. When Ayato steps through the gate, he sees his long-lost younger brother. In Ayato's memories, when he was young, he met his younger brother on the way home. He innocently wondered why his brother did not go to school. His brother reminded him that today is their birthday. The younger brother talked about how everyone who came to celebrate the birthday came for Ayato because he had become a vigilante. But Ayato did not care and still looked at his brother with pure eyes. The brother angrily asked why Ayato was not angry at him despite their parents' favoritism. Ayato thought his brother was not at fault. He still had love for his brother. Ayato did not notice the sad look in his brother's eyes at that time. Returning to the present, he is very surprised to see his brother here. The brother reveals someone told him to come. In Arthur's subconscious at this moment, he is sitting and talking with Loki. Loki reminds him that only the chosen ones can enter the Divine Gate. Arthur says those who overcome despair are chosen to enter the gate. Loki very slyly takes out Arthur's crown, confusing him about what Loki's scheme is. On the other side, Midori and Akane are experiencing the despair of losing loved ones and friends. The mysterious boy who often follows Ayato appears again. The boy shows the two the scene of the Ayato brothers facing each other. The younger brother at this moment is very amused, asking his older brother about how it feels to bear the crime for him. The mysterious boy excitedly reveals that when Ayato is about to experience despair, his true nature will be revealed. Originally, after their parents' deaths and his brother's disappearance, Ayato had suppressed himself to take the blame for his brother. The Divine Gate is now right in front of Akane and Midori. The boy guides them inside. The younger brother reminisces about the old days when their parents expected both brothers to become vigilantes. They were so extreme they tied the younger brother in the rain to force Ayato to try to become the model they wanted. He could only helplessly cry without being able to do anything. Ayato began to resist in every way. He opposed his parents to protect his brother, even deliberately failing the ability test so his parents would hate him and direct their anger at Ayato instead. He tried to explain to his brother, but it was all useless. The brother knew Ayato was stronger than him. Ayato himself had seen the divine gate first and discovered a tremendous power. The brother was very angry that Ayato did not tell him about that great source of power. The brother even brought up the night he burned down the house. It was Ayato who stepped forward to take the blame for his brother, only to be brutally beaten by their parents and thrown into the backyard house to fend for himself. Yet the brother did not understand his effort. The younger brother called Ayato a hypocrite, blaming his brother for the suffering he had to endure. It was precisely the long-accumulated anger, despair and extreme emotions that caused the younger brother to murder their own parents. He walked past Ayato and told about the night before he committed that heinous crime. The brother had come to see Ayato. In his twisted psychology, he almost strangled Ayato so they could both be freed. But when he looked into his brother's gentle blue eyes, he was frightened and ran away. At that exact moment, the younger brother saw the divine gate and became a vigilante. The brother blamed Ayato for not running away with him to live a happy life with just the two of them instead of staying to bear his crimes. His subconscious psychology was gradually sinking into obsession. That very darkness had swallowed up his admiration for his brother. Ayato explained he had always longed for the day he could return to the warmth of family. This made the brother angry. He believed everything was just lies. Even their parents' love for the brothers was full of exploitation. The brother pulled out an eyeball-shaped device and summoned his driver to fight his brother. The other teachers ran over at this moment. They, along with Undyne and Akane's group, witnessed the battle. Akane's group really wanted to stop this from happening, but the mysterious boy revealed it was completely useless. The brother charged to attack Ayato, but he did not fight back. He only dodged because he did not want to hurt his brother. Yet the brother was still stubborn, believing family love was fake. He accidentally revealed that because of the lack of family happiness, he had caused the tragic Blue Christmas incident. Undyne was very worried when the mysterious boy appeared. He reminded her she could change the future. The Ayato brothers at this moment were fighting each other. Ayato was forced to fight. He was pushed out by his brother's power. When the brother was about to deliver the finishing blow, Akane really wanted to rush in, but was stopped by the red-eyed boy. The boy reminded them to let Ayato overcome this himself. Outside the area leading to the divine gate, the northern gods appeared. They intended to go in and finish off the group inside. Suddenly, Oz appeared. He wanted to personally deal with the very gods he had invited. Because of Dorothy's death, he was in extreme anguish at this moment. Oz desperately activated a barrier to reclaim the power he had granted to the gods. A blood dragon appeared, making the gods above wither. After casting the spell, Oz was also exhausted and collapsed. Akane's group, seeing Ayato about to be finished off by his brother, disregarded the mysterious boy's obstruction. Both rushed to where the divine gate was. When Ayato closed his eyes waiting for death, Undyne had rushed out to take a blow for him. Because the wound was too severe, she collapsed in his arms. She advised him to decide his own future and not be tormented by the past. Then she fainted in his arms. Ayato's brother was furious that someone interfered. He charged straight at where the two were sitting and stabbed down. In his subconscious, Ayato made his choice. He was angry because this brother had hurt someone he loved. Ayato displayed super powerful abilities, creating a water shock wave striking toward his brother, seriously wounding him. The brother at this moment finally felt happy because his brother had removed the mask of the past to change his future. The brother immediately withdrew his weapon and walked toward the divine gate. Ayato turned back to make sure Undyne was okay. She and the other teachers promised to handle things here. They advised Akane, Midori and Ayato's group to continue to the wide-open divine gate and fulfill their purpose. The gate now opened. The whole group entered a space filled with fog. The red-eyed boy manifested at this moment. Above his head was a floating scale where despair and hope were placed and measured. The boy now revealed he was the key to the divine gate. He persuaded everyone to pass through the gate, whether to change the past or the future. Santa Claus's memories appeared when he first met Arthur. That boy had wandered into the divine gate. Seeing his bewildered face, Santa guessed he might have lost something important. He felt very sorry for the boy before him. Santa, in his role as the son of Santa Claus, decided to give Arthur a new beginning. He and his younger sister Lisa brought Arthur home, giving him the warmth of family. And this was also the origin of his dream of becoming king. The end of the reminiscence was the harsh reality. Santa was determined to take back Arthur from Loki. The divine gate was now right before Akane's group. The red-eyed boy urged everyone to step inside. Akane and everyone recalled their purpose for entering. Midori wanted to find Elena again. Akane wanted his father to live again. Ayato wanted a peaceful life with his brother. On another side in Arthur's mind at this moment, Loki was very amused. He reminded Arthur the kids had reached the divine gate. Loki asked why he still had not revealed himself and stayed alone here. Arthur coldly retorted. He also realized someone was coming to save him. It was Santa Claus. At this moment in reality, Santa Claus had broken through the tower door. Before him was a platinum-haired Arthur who had been controlled by Loki. Santa was very calm. He affirmed he would save Arthur. Arthur did not belong to Loki. Santa recalled old memories when Arthur showed him the council's invitation letter. This was the path Arthur had chosen. He fully trusted and supported his friend. Santa Claus even told his friend that when he got too tired he should come back to him. In reality, Santa looked into Arthur's lifeless eyes with indignation. Loki shamelessly said Arthur was resentful about being abandoned, which was why he chose this way. But for Santa, Arthur had the freedom to decide the path he wanted to take. And it was Loki who was limiting that freedom. He charged up to fight Loki. Each powerful blow struck down. On the council's side, they were extremely troubled by the current situation. They sent another driver to where Loki and Santa were fighting. Santa angrily questioned Loki why he was a god yet did not fulfill his responsibilities. But Loki laughed and reminded him he had given Arthur something that surpassed even emotion, which was eternal peace. Santa tried to get close to the controlled Arthur. As a result, he was stabbed through the stomach by his friend. But under Loki's stunned expression, Santa successfully activated a connection gate. He broke into Arthur's consciousness. He saw his friend was very worried about being stabbed by his own hand. Santa comforted Arthur. He presented an object, which was the item Santa found in the ruins. He knew this was where Arthur kept his true heart. Arthur looked grimly at his friend. He had made his own choice. Arthur recalled the gossip of everyone in the council that he carried a forbidden bloodline that could bring disaster to humanity. Despite the anguish in his heart, Arthur still decided he would bring peace to the world Santa had always protected. He pulled the sword out of his friend and pushed Santa back to reality. At this moment, Santa was seriously wounded. He lay gasping on the ground looking at the sky. Santa still wondered if this was the path Arthur truly chose. Loki was standing beside watching the good show. He placed a crown on Arthur, affirming Arthur was always a puppet in his hands. On Akane's group's side, the mysterious boy was still presenting choices to the group. 1 was to use the past to change the future. 2 was to go to the future to redo and change the past. Everyone had the right to choose their own fate. So Akane's group determinedly stepped forward after some hesitation. Suddenly a beam of light appeared. It was the northern gods stripped of their drivers. Akane, Midori, and Ayato all recognized them. They were the ones who killed Akane and Midori's father and best friend, and also the ones who seriously wounded the student group. Oz on the other side now had an aged appearance. He had exchanged his lifespan to help Akane's group. He entrusted everything to the kids. Akane's whole group at this moment was extremely furious. They took out their drivers and prepared to fight. Just as the gods were scornfully telling the group they could not decide their own fate, suddenly the red-eyed boy stepped forward and calmly released a tremendous pressure that suppressed the gods. They questioned why a key spirit child like him sided with humans. The boy believed even gods could not steal their freedom to choose their fate. Humans also had the right to fulfill their dreams and follow their own path. Right after that, he appeared beside Akane's group. The boy reminded each person of their wishes and what the gods had taken away. Akane had just met his father only to be separated. Midori witnessed her best friend sacrifice right before her eyes. Ayato's younger brother was always drowning in endless hatred. This fired up the group. Despite the gods' powerful pressure charging at them, they did not waver and used their drivers to resist. The mysterious boy also used all his power to push back the northern gods from the gate. At this moment, everything had temporarily calmed down. The boy advised everyone to quickly go to the divine gate. A golden staircase appeared as if inviting them. Suddenly, from behind the group, Jinji stepped out holding a driver. He questioned the group. If they stepped through the gate, it would cause the World Council to disappear and reset the world. Even the red-eyed boy admitted they might have power like the gods to do as they pleased. But that did not mean they could not fulfill their wishes. Jinji still tried to persuade the group, showing them the unfairness of the world where only the chosen ones could rule it. This made the scale of the gate tilt to one side. But Ayato at this moment revealed what Arthur once said. Only when things more important to us than ourselves appear can latent power be activated. Becoming a god does not help us change ourselves. Only we can strive to change it. Therefore, all three decided not to step through the gate for personal gain. Jinji, hearing this, also withdrew his weapon and left. The key spirit child was surprised by the group's decision, but still listened and disappeared along with that gate. At this moment, a thick black fog rolled in. The space around the group changed into the Tower of the Gods. Loki was standing there with Arthur. He revealed Arthur was the chosen one. Arthur at this moment had lost control. He used one sword slash to shatter and collapse the building. In Arthur's white world at this moment, he was sitting with his back to Loki. He affirmed no matter how hard Loki tried, he could not extinguish the hope of this world. Outside, in reality, Akane's group was overjoyed seeing the tower had collapsed. They met Lancelot again, who revealed a mysterious power had resurrected them and the Night Squad. As for Arthur, they would take him back themselves. A gate opened before the group. Akane's group stepped through the gate as a signal that a new beginning was about to happen.